You're listening to the nation's best Ballers and Recruits podcast with Shane Larson. Our goal is to provide must-listen content to fans of NFL, college, high school, and youth football. I'm your host, and I'm excited to have you with us. Let's go. What's up, everyone? Welcome out to the nation's best Ballers and Recruits podcast. I am your host, Shane Larson, also known as the Game Time Guru. Excited to be here today because we've got a very special guest to talk to them and get to know them and what they're doing right now. The guest, it's the man, the myth, the legend, his name, Benny LeMay from UNC Charlotte, now with the Cleveland Browns. We're getting to know a little bit more about him, his football career, and what he's all about. So, Benny, thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Benny, obviously, we're going to get to the talk about, what we're doing to prepare for the NFL game here in just a second, okay? We know that's what people want to hear, but we got to get up to that point first. So we got to know a little bit more about you and your football background. You obviously had a stacked career at UNC Charlotte. You played and had some crazy statistics, great accomplishments throughout the duration of your career. Do you mind talking to us a little bit about, your experience at UNC Charlotte, what it was like for you, and, how you were able to see such success on the field?
Yeah, I mean, from the start, Charlotte was obviously a startup program, and being able to be in that situation is always kind of, it's a positive and a negatives, because you can go through your struggles and go through your losses, which we did, where we had one season, 1-11, it was pretty tough, but this is the beauty of it to see, see it all come to fruition, see all the hard work come to fruition. With my senior year, we go to a bowl game, be the first, Charlotte team to ever go to a bowl game. And, that's something I was really proud of. It's more than the accolades that I've achieved and the yards and all that stuff. So, but just being able to be a part of the team that went to the first bowl game and, play with some, great players. Larry Ogunjobi, who plays with the Cleveland Browns now. Nate Davis, he plays with the Tennessee Titans, and then Alex and Kim, who just got drafted along with me. So, just guys that I've been able to play with. It's a great honor, and I'm just glad to be a part of the program.
Absolutely, man. Now, it's interesting you mentioned that, going from having a losing record, a pretty tough losing record. And loss is very hard for anybody who's competitive. Anybody in sports knows that, especially when you're so competitive, but as a unit, you're just not able to get it to fully click to the point where it translates into wins. And so from going from where you were at, like you just mentioned, that tough season until your senior year when you're going to a bowl game, talk about the bowl game experience. Because see, I love that you're telling us that, because some people would say, oh, well, college football, with the new college football playoff structure and all this, it almost makes bowl games completely insignificant, which I completely disagree. I actually think there's a lot more, because you're sharing a personal experience about how it was actually a huge accomplishment for you. So talk to us about that from your perspective, the bowl game. Yeah, you mentioned it was great getting there, but talk to us about the bowl game and what that truly meant to you guys and yourself as a person. Yeah, I
agree. A lot of people say, just because I still think going to a bowl game is a great achievement. It just shows that, for us, it shows, the resiliency that we had, throughout the season, because we started off hot. We started off 2-1. Kind of got on a high horse for a minute, and then we lost 4 or 5 games straight, and then out of nowhere we just turned it around, and we came together as a team, and that's just credit to my my head coach, Coach Healy. He did a good job of rallying the team and making sure he's getting the best out of us every single day, even when we don't want to. We also had a different practice schedule, so we're practicing at 6 o'clock in the morning every day. So it was just different. It was a different vibe, but I loved it. He brought the energy back. And just with us being so down, he out of nowhere, we kind of just came together as a team and created that brotherhood and started winning. We won 6 games straight and then went to be able to bowl eligible.
That's so cool. It kind of speaks to, like you said, you mentioned resilience, and I think a lot of that has to do by you as well. That's your lead that you took, because you're a 2-time team captain. Obviously you're a big part of the team's success from a statistical standpoint, because all of your hard work paid off on the field. Now, talk to us about that, like the leadership traits that you were able to, demonstrate when you were at UNC Charlotte, especially during those tough times. Like, what were you able to do as a leader to get the team through there? I know you mentioned your coach, but obviously the players also have to play. How did you do that as a team captain?
Yeah, I mean, my leadership skills are more, actually more verbal anyway. But I mean, that just goes to show that that was my place, and I accepted my role as well as a captain, as two-time captain. Since just being that guy everybody can count on to make plays. But also off the field, I was always, the guy who, you could come to and talk to about certain things if you had problems going on, or saying just an example to be for the younger guys. Saying never late, never missing meetings. You don't never have to worry about anything of that. So that was just something that I felt like I distributed great through my career, being able to just be a great example for the team.
Totally, man. Totally. Now, Benny, tell us a little bit about your background before you even got to UNC Charlotte. Like, how long have you been playing sports for? Like, how long were you into football? And when did you know you wanted to continue playing at the next level, at least to get into the collegiate level? When did you know when did you make that decision in your mind that, like, hey, I want to go play college ball, before we've gotten to where we're at now? But when did you make that decision? And yeah, how long have you been playing for?
Yeah, man. I mean, as a family, we started off playing basketball first.
Oh, okay.
And, say for my older brothers, they started playing football. So I wanted to be like them, of course. And then when we first, because we were originally born in Gainesville, Florida. And then I moved here 2007. And so, so I was still in my basketball phase. And then my dad said, let's try football. So then ever since then, I never really put it down. And then, going through high school and middle school, high school, I wasn't highly recruited. It was a weird recruiting process because I was ranked a 4-star at one point. I still didn't receive any offers. So Charlotte was really my only offer coming out. And then Ball State came like later on my senior year. So, Charlotte just stuck with me my whole way because they offered me my sophomore year in high school. And, they stuck with me, and, they were honest with me. And they gave me, the one shot that I wanted. So I felt that that was my best move, and that was the best thing for me. And it turned out to be the greatest thing I did.
That's so awesome, man. It's super cool to kind of see just a little glimpse of the journey up until where you're at right now. And obviously, Benny, we're talking to you, and we're getting ready for camps, right? Well, I mean, it's an unprecedented time that we're in right now, so it's kind of like strange, right? But we're ultimately getting ready for camps for the NFL. You signed with the Cleveland Browns. Talk to us about this experience and what that's like to even have your name here with a professional organization, being signed by the Cleveland Browns, getting ready for camp. Talk to us about what that's like from a player's perspective like yourself.
Yeah, it's still surreal, man, to me sometimes. Like it didn't really hit me till like 3 days after the whole thing happened. During the draft, that was the most stressful time of my life. Like it was, you just 3 days just waiting and waiting and waiting, hearing your name called and seeing all the other people getting picked up. And I mean, it was hard to see that, but for me to still have the opportunity is it goes to show for that all my hard work wasn't for nothing. And Cleveland Browns, I'm thankful for them to give me the opportunity to play and show forth my talent. And I'm just waiting for whenever the day comes that we can really get on the field and do some football work, because for the longest I feel like we was training and just a bunch of stuff that doesn't pertain to football. So I'm ready to be able to get on the field. So I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, totally, man. And I was going to ask you this, like, what are you able to do right now, and what are you doing to prepare for when the time does come, so that, the whole phrase, stay ready, ain't got to get ready, that whole concept, like, how are you staying ready so you don't have to get ready when the time comes and, you guys are called upon to go to camp, get on the field?
Yeah. I've been training with my strength coach and a couple other guys from the team, Coach Liskowski. So, he was doing a great job, keeping me ready and keeping me prepared. The Browns actually just sent me a workout plan as well, so I can implicate that as well in the workouts that I'm doing. And then I also have a couple other guys that do position work with me. So pretty much set all the way around. I'm just really just all mental from this point. It's just coming in and make sure I'm picking up, the playbook and really getting into it and really focusing, eliminating all distractions as well.
Totally. Now, just a question here that a lot of people, sports fans in general, they ask about this, like the transition from one level to the next level. I mean, there's a transition from the high school game to the college game. Then there's a big transition from the college game to the NFL game in more ways than one. You just mentioned a playbook. Have you noticed any differences in the playbook, the way that the plays are called? I know I've heard quarterbacks, I've heard players come into the NFL and they say, yeah, in college our plays would be like, maybe 5 seconds long in the huddle. And then you go into the NFL and it takes like, 10, 15, almost 17 seconds to call a play out sometimes. Have you noticed any differences like that quite yet, or are we still waiting on that?
I'm still waiting on it. Just from playing in the East-West game, I kind of got a glimpse of it. They still kind of shrunk it down a little bit for us, but it was still relatively long. It's pretty much the same. I mean, I think that's what the biggest thing is just attention to detail. Because certain plays could have a running back tagged in this one, and it might not have it on that one, but it still could be the same play. But you gotta watch everything, and know your protection. I think the biggest thing for me is just really getting in and knowing my protections and knowing my the blocking schemes and who's supposed to block who and what my responsibilities are. Because when it comes to running back stuff, that's what I was born to do. I've been doing that for years. So it just comes to really just make sure I'm getting that blocking down, and I'll be all right.
Totally. And as I'm hearing you talk about it, Benny, it's just like, again, this is like my whole goal in life is to show people. That's why I do my shows. That's why we're doing Nation's Best. It's to spotlight individuals like yourself. Like, athletes are not dumb jocks. I hate that whole entire phrase. Like, the fact that you're saying, I got to know my protections. I got to know this. I encourage anybody who's not, like, they have that thought like, oh, athletes are dumb jocks. Go and figure out what Benny's doing. Go check your playbook out and see if you can figure out what a protection is, what that even means when you got 300-pound dudes coming at you trying to take your legs out. Yeah, like, that's super important. You have to understand that. So that you just talking about that, it just makes me smile because I'm like, that stuff is intense, and it's awesome that you're able to, that's part of your job. It's not just being most physically fit, most athletically gifted. It's a mental game. You've got to understand. It's like going to school all over again. And for some people, that's actually extremely difficult. So, I want to know, Benny, what is like your biggest goal? I mean, obviously, is it just making the roster? Is it what's your biggest goal going into camp and getting ready for your first professional season? And what are you most worried about, if you will? Like what's one of the things that you might, I guess not necessarily worry, but what's one of the things it's just unknown that you're excited to learn about or anxious to learn about?
Right. I would say, I like to shoot for the stars. I want to make a Pro Bowl. I want to have a fantastic season, rookie season. And I aim for the stars, man. I know how hard I work. I know my work ethic. I know the mentality that I have, and I know I can do it. So, that's what I really aim for. But the one thing I probably say I'm worried about, or one thing I have concerns about, is when I get in that position. I want to still keep that hunger, if that makes sense. So I don't want to get lackadaisical or complacent, in that position. And then if I say I make the roster, and then I get in a position where I'm playing and I'm playing real good, and then it's like, okay, I can kind of ease off the brakes. And that's one thing that I can't really foresee right now. But in that moment, I hope that I'm praying that I still keep that mentality.
I think you'll be just fine just by talking to you for like 10 minutes already. I just can totally tell you your mentality and your work ethic. Well, when you get to that point, it'll drive you through that. I'm reading a book right now by a former professional basketball player, and he states in there, one of the things he learned was to be smooth, but don't coast. And I think that's kind of what you're saying. Like, once you get there, like, it's good to be smooth. If you worked your way there, like, it's okay to be smooth and do your thing, but like, make sure you're not coasting, right? That's kind of what your concern is. Right. Like, I don't want to get there and just start coasting. You always got to keep going. So there's like you just got to find your way to like get there and just always be able to be smooth, but just make sure you're not coasting. And it sounds like you're able to, you've already done enough self-analysis. Yourself, when you can work harder, how to push yourself. So I don't anticipate that when you get to that level and when you get to that point, I don't anticipate you scaling it back at all. But, it's awesome that you already think that. Now, I just want to know one thing from you, Benny, before we wrap it up. Like, you're a leader yourself, right? In college, you were a 2-time team captain. I mean, you've obviously led your team there, got them to a bowl game along with your coach and everyone else that you mentioned before. Now you're with the Browns. You're in a professional organization. I want to know, though, like, do you have any mentors or leaders that you've looked up to in your life that kind of like modeled the way for you? You said your brothers, your older brothers had played sports, but is there anyone specifically outside of them as well that you'd like to shout out that you could share with us? And what was the biggest lesson they taught you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, my brothers for one, but my dad is probably my biggest role model. I mean, not even just from a football aspect, from a life aspect. Him, waking up every day and going to work and showing us what a real man's supposed to be, and giving that great example of how to lead your household, and how to never really complain about things, and as well as never make excuses for the things you don't have, or the things you do have. Always be grateful and understand that God's put you in a place that a lot of people wish they could be. A lot of people wake up in the morning wishing they could play for the Cleveland Browns or the Dallas Cowboys, or anybody. It's, what I'm saying. So it's a great opportunity, and that's one thing that even in the situation of not being drafted, like I was a free agent. And in the moment I was kind of upset about it, but I was like, you know what? A lot of people would love to be in my shoes, and that's something that I got to be grateful for, and that just goes back to the principles that my father taught me, and just really just instilling that in me, really shows that I have a great future ahead of me, and a lot of people have my back, and it's a lot of people that have influenced my life, just besides my high school coaches, my college coaches, people in the community that I grew up around with. So it's a lot of people that I'm thankful for sure.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that with us and the listeners. And if there's any advice you could give to these young athletes coming up, maybe they're in middle school and they have these aspirations, what's the biggest thing you could tell them to focus on if they have dreams of being in the NFL just like you are?
Right. I would say, the most important thing is never let, anybody outwork you. That's one thing I always aim to do. Back in high school, that's where I really found my real work ethic. I was waking up early, doing extra workout before school, doing extra workouts after practice, after school, still get my work done. So it's never too much work you can do. And, you just always put in more work. That's the biggest thing that you can do, because, always give yourself options in school, in football, and life. Always give yourself options to, to where you can dictate, how you want to do things. And, no matter how the dice is rolled, the book is never closed, until you close it. So, that's pretty much all I can say. So, just keep fighting until it's over.
I dig it. I appreciate it, Benny. And thank you once again for joining us here on the Ballers and Recruits podcast. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Benny LeMay, running back for the Cleveland Browns. And Benny, we're going to be rooting for you, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Shane, man. God bless you.
Likewise, brother. Take care, man.
All right. Thank you.
Guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode with Benny LeMay. Now, if you liked this interview, please give us a 5-star review and share this with your friends, family, or anyone who's a fan of the sport of football. Stay tuned. We'll be having more content coming your way in the next few weeks. Take care.